Hello and welcome to PowerDrift. This is a very special episode because obviously we have two Hayabusas, the new one and the legendary one. And we have to match the Hayabusa, a legend in the house, India's top bike and car journalist, which is very hard to do. I've tried. No, I haven't. But he doesn't need an introduction, but this Hayabusa does. Her name is Radha and this is his Hayabusa. So what you should know before we start, before we say anything about the new Hayabusa, is I've been in love with the Hayabusa ever since I rode my first one. These machines do stuff that they should not be able to do at all. And of course, Singhee is a huge fan because, well, this is his bike.
Actually, no. I'm not a fan of the bike because it's mine. The bike's mine because I became a fan of the motorcycle. The beauty of this motorcycle is just what a big heart it has. Because of that additional displacement, even when you're riding it hard, it's never strained. You want to cover distances. I just love that flexibility. I mean, and okay, that was one part of it. But then there was the chassis, and man, that's the part that you were talking about, right? It shouldn't be doing a lot of the things that it does.
100%.
And we took it out to the track, and a lot of people over there said to me that, why have you got a Busa to the racetrack? And I was like, why not, right?
Yeah. And the rest is history because the pictures, the performance, what we heard of the bike, what we saw of the bike was just incredible. But let's just shift the focus to the black one over there.
I would love to. I certainly thought that there would be a larger engine because, you know, new emission norms, so won't be able to make as much power while meeting those norms. So that we thought was
it doesn't actually make that much power. It's the more powerful machine here for sure. Right?
Correct.
Were you a little disappointed when you read the press release and said, hey, look, 1340cc inline 4 again?
Well, I was happy. I was like, I've still got the more powerful bike.
So you don't think that instead of buying the last of the last, you should have bought the first of the latest?
I love the logic behind it, that Suzuki said that this is a tried, tested engine. It's bulletproof, and they don't want to mess with it too much.
But
right?
imagine that with an inline 6, with say a 1600 or 1800cc engine. Wouldn't that be insane?
I don't know, man. I think this formula that they've created, I don't know if anybody else can recreate this in another configuration, whether it's possible or not. I don't know even if Suzuki can recreate it in another, configuration for that matter.
Okay, my perspective on that is when we rode the GSX-R 1000R, we were at the racetrack together. I remember our conversation there was about how is a 200 bhp bike this simple to ride?
Correct.
And that motorcycle to me is exactly that.
So when we rode down to Chennai, we were riding through fog. We had started when it was still dark. And I remember being very worried about, and this was right after the monsoons, right? So we didn't know what kind of road conditions we were going to get. And after some time, I was just like, yeah, it's fine. And I actually did accidentally hit a really bad patch. And after that, I'm pretty sure they've got some
Magic in there, right?
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't want to say the word ADV there, but the way it handles bad roads, which is why I also love it, right? It works in India. It works in India.
No, but what he's saying is exactly right because there is a difference between the two suspensions. I think that has a lot more control, it has a lot more ability.
I know Shumi is nudging me to talk about that bike. I'm going to come out and say what I have to. That has blown my mind. It has completely blown my mind, especially because Suzuki has said nothing to the effect that it's going to blow your mind. They've just said, new generation Hayabusa, these are the 30,000 changes we've made, which is one screw here and one oil path here and one this here.
It's a very Japanese way to write a press release, no?
And then when you ride it and you're like, dude, this is generation 3, and if you look at Gen 1, what happened as the change to Gen 2, and when you look at Gen 3, this is seismic compared to what they did between Gen 1 and Gen 2.
100%. And let me set that in context because a lot of the international media reports we've read talk about a continuum between the Hayabusas, about how that is a better Busa and more power would have been welcome and all of these things. I don't know what bike they were riding because that is more than a generation change. It's absolutely incredible to ride that machine. And it's not just the performance, okay? So we know that that Hayabusa makes less power than the generation 2. It does have a much stronger mid-range for sure. And so much so that Kartikeya's first reaction to riding it is they've changed the gearing. And I don't think they have. It's just a lot more mid-range. It is a little bit angrier than this motorcycle. And not in a, I wouldn't say in a violent way, in a very Japanese facing, it's like a focus thing saying, I feel like destroying something right now, so would you please allow me to
That's
do
actually
it?
the right tone.
And to me, that has remained. And what I like about that bike is today, again, I was in 4th or 5th gear through heavy traffic, close the throttle.
He's wrong. For once in his life, Shumi's wrong. It's not remained. It's gotten way, way better. Way, way better. Trust me. I ride this every day, right? And you get onto that, and it's like, it's tighter. It's lighter. I mean, it's not lighter. I mean, okay,
Yeah,
by 2 kilograms.
yeah, it's not
but
lighter.
it's feeling lighter. It's feeling tighter. I came back to him and I told him, dude, it's almost like a sports bike, but without the discomfort of the sports bike.
Exactly right. I mean, this makes a great tourer already,
Yeah.
but I think that will make a great commuter, strangest thing to say ever. I remember one time we were on an airstrip, that orange and black Busa, giving joyrides to people, only insisting, please wear your helmet, please wear a jacket, sit, we'll go. We'd go 180 up, we'd come back 250, people would get blown away. And the Busa did that
Just
all
kept on doing
afternoon without any feeling of stress or strain. And think about it, it's a media bike. It's probably the most abused example there is at that point, right? And I don't know, 50 joyrides that day with people going back and standing at the end of the queue, not a sign of trouble.
That's why they haven't really changed the engine.
Ah. How about the brakes? Tell us about the brakes.
That you can brake hard with confidence, and this is what I'm saying. You said commuter, tourer. I'm saying take that to the track. It's gonna blow people's minds. I'm not kidding. It's gonna be easy because of that same, limitless sense of power and torque that it has. And now I don't know how they've done it with the chassis and the suspension being largely the same,
Correct.
but it feels so different.
So I think this would be a good time to pitch to Suzuki the idea, saying that look, we've already got the Gen 2. Can we take the Gen 3 and go to the racetrack, him and me, and we'll make a great story out of it. What do you say?
Absolutely, man. I would love to do that. Seeing these two bikes in the same frame coming around a corner is going to be, I'm going to be over the moon.
If you were to ride these two bikes out on the highway over a long distance with luggage, now based on what you know about this bike and what you've seen of that bike, how do you think they're different from each other?
In terms of ergonomics, with the bars being closer, it's definitely giving you a far more relaxed seating position. Whereas on that, I'm a short guy, so it's a bit of a reach for me. You do settle into it, but it is something that you feel. Whereas on this, you're sitting a bit more upright, even for me.
And your head is much closer to the visor and the meters, and it feels like you're more inside the motorcycle than sort of behind the motorcycle. So when you accelerate, you're more part of the process than being sort of carried along by the bike.
The reason why I bought that bike was no electronics. I wanted it. It's only got ABS, right, and power modes. That's it. That's why I wanted the bike. It keeps you honest. It keeps you from getting carried away by who you are as a rider, right?
I think you're sending the wrong message to young viewers out there, because to me, electronics are primarily invisible for most of your riding, and they sort of come into action when you're in trouble. So today, on the last stretch, there was rain and there was mud on the road, and I was, I think, in C mode, which is their softest mode, and it kicked in at some point and told me that you were just being a jackass and I saved your ass, right? And I would rather have that safety net than not. So full props to you for being able to ride a motorcycle like this.
No, my point is, when you have something like this, you are not going to be stepping over that line, right? You're going to be far more conscious of where that line is, and you're going to be careful to tow it, right? And that is my point, like at least that's how I approach it. So everything they've done with that, the chassis, the engine, it's making it feel like it's taken the fear or the intimidation that the Busa had. That one will not intimidate people, especially now because of the electronics. You will not worry about putting the power down or braking. But I think the biggest part still for me is what they've done, the changes, the subtle changes which have changed the character of the motorcycle and made it so much more intimate. And that was the beauty of this.
There are lots of motorcycles that if somebody gifted it to me, I'd probably return them or sell them and get something else. If somebody gifted me that, I would not say no.
And he asked me, am I going to sell this and get that? The answer is, I want to keep that and I want that. That'll be a nice garage to have.
It has to go back to Suzuki at some point. Other people have to have an opportunity to ride that motorcycle.
We will try and delay it as much as possible.
But COVID-19 lockdowns are about to begin, and I'm sorry, we can't return the Busa. What could Suzuki have done better on that motorcycle? Because that bike is absolutely perfect. It's as close as I've ever seen it done.
I agree, man. Look at the front. They've sharpened it up. They've tightened it up. Just look at the two motorcycles side by side. That looks sharp and tight. But the rear, It kind of reminds me of a pizza delivery machine or something, man. It's
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think it's just the shape of the cowl. I think it's also the fact that the cowl sort of dips down at the back, which sort of looks like there's a problem with the subframe rather than a design. And honestly, to me, the good part of the motorcycle in terms of design ends at about the end of the rider's seat, and from there
Yeah.
onwards, it's a little bit iffy for me.
I think that's that. The exhausts look quite big, so it's mostly about the design. But I mean, those are the things I would nitpick about, because in terms of equipment features, like see, you look at this as a desirable motorcycle, it's quite plain Jane, right? I mean, in terms of the clocks that it has,
Yeah,
the
that way,
equipment on
yes.
offer, how it's executed, it's very basic. They've stepped up. This
Yes.
is something that you look at, you'll talk about.
I, for example, think that the chrome strips that they put on the fairing actually add a lot of value to the motorcycle. It does make it feel premium and fresh and striking. And there's people like that who are like, not really, right? But I do agree that motorcycle does incredibly feel a lot more premium than this motorcycle. Somehow it feels like they've made it more expensive, and obviously the price has gone up a little bit. But I would complain about the menu system on the motorcycle. So there is a little color display in the middle, and it's got options and all that. And I think it could be a lot more intuitive in terms of going through the menus and setting up the motorcycle. It could be a heck of a lot easier, I think.
Since this nitpicking, we'll let it pass.
Yeah, and the colors on the menu. I mean, Suzuki's colors are white, blue. What's black and gold doing
Yeah,
on that menu?
gold.
I mean, why? You've got great. I mean, have you looked at that motorcycle in the white and blue colorway?
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like, I don't want the red and white. I don't want the orange and black. If I were to buy a Busa, the white and blue is what's coming home, right?
White and red.
So, what's the 3 things about the new Busa that people really need to know? You give 3 and I'll give 3.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, to me, I think what most people don't realize about the Busa is that its story, unfortunately, is built on the idea of its top speed.
Yeah.
And the story of this motorcycle is not its top speed. It is what it is able to do at every single freaking speed. You pick a speed, you pick a gear, and the Busa says, I got this. It's that I got this that this Busa is legendary for is one. Second, this is a really large motorcycle. There is no escaping that, but that's only when it's parked in your garage. Out on the road, it's one of the most friendly, easy to ride, and I think Generation 3 has taken that to another level altogether. This is one of the easiest motorcycles, especially with this kind of performance that you'll ever use. And the third thing, which I think a lot of people do know, is these are also incredibly reliable machines, which is why a Busa owner is probably not going to see the garage be on service.
Yeah, I mean, and surprisingly affordable to service as well for a big bike. I can say that from an owner standpoint.
What would a normal regular service cost you?
Believe it or not, about 7,000 bucks.
Okay, just to give you a reference, my Multistrada costs exactly twice that.
Yeah, and a major service is 11 or something like that.
80,000. But that's only every 30,000 kilometers, so it's not so much of a big deal. Okay, so we've covered service cost, but what are the 3 things that people really need to know?
So while speed has been its calling card, and it's the excess of speed that has given the Hayabusa its legendary status, at heart, it's a very sensible motorcycle. And I know people will find this hard to believe, would have found it hard to believe with this, but this one is nailing it down pat.
And that's coming from Mr. Sensible himself.
And the third thing, as a sports bike, as something you want to ride hard, this is going to be immensely satisfying. I'm not saying you're going to go and set the best lap times, I don't know. But you are going to find this to be a joy. Like anybody saying Busa and racetrack, that's clearly out. That's a outdated thought now. So, yeah, I mean, if that was there, this one's taking it way up there.
So as you can see, we are super impressed with the Generation 3 Hayabusa. So my advice to you is, if you were in the market for a Hayabusa, now is the best time to get one. If you're not in the market for a Hayabusa, you're missing out.
I think for anybody who's looking for a fared bike in India, right? Just going after horsepower figures, or just going after, you know, the brag rights of acceleration or something like that, or the latest and greatest in that sense, you'd be doing yourself a disservice by overlooking this.
No, you'd be doing a disservice by spending the money at all, because if the numbers are what you're interested in, I can print them out and send them to your house for free. What you want to buy is a motorcycle that makes your heart sing. And I don't think there are many machines on earth that will make your heart sing harder. than the Hayabusa. Thank you so much for watching.